Do. Hello, everybody. It is Chris. That's my theme song for the today in Arch. So what is this, like day 4? Wow, check that out. Don't look at the Bing tabs. I was trolling the live stream earlier. Don't look at the Bing tabs. So if you have been following along, this is the 4th video on my week in Arch. Started last Sunday. It'll conclude this Sunday and on the Linux Action Show. And today I had a couple of goals. I wanted to get my webcam working, and I wanted to be able to share media with my new Roku box. I went over, because Jupiter Broadcasting has a Roku app, and I wanted to just, I wanted to see how it works on the new Roku streaming player. So I went over here to Amazon, and I got this. I like this because it's got the headphone jack in the remote. That is just so cool. And then, of course, I wanted to do the next logical step when you hook up a streaming media player to your home network. I wanted to stream to it from my Arch machine. So I went over to the Arch user repository and found Plex Media Server was in here. And I know I talk about the Arch user repository a lot, but this is just, I came to visit, and I think I'm going to move in possibly because of it. So, I am really impressed by it. And so it was just a super simple pack AUR -S Plex Media Server. Pulled down the Plex Media Server. Here it is, configured on my machine. I've got it pointed at the different stuff on my network. It's going through and indexing it all right now because I just set it up this morning. It's just kind of figuring out what I got, but it's going out there and getting the thumbnails, which is super awesome. And I've also been able to connect it with my music. So that's all. I'm all really happy with the Plex Media Server. I haven't tried it on the Roku box yet because I just set it up, but that I just thought was a good example of something you do when you just have an everyday computer. And on Ubuntu, I would just go get the deb they have or whatever from the project website. And in Arch, I just knew go to the Arch user repository. There's stuff in there. I just read through the comments real quick, and it's installed. It actually looks like it pulls from the deb, which is kind of funny, and sets up the user account and all that kind of stuff using the tools that are built in with Arch. So I wanted to answer a couple of questions and respond to a couple of comments. I asked last week if people had any advice about the fingerprint reader. And by the way, if the text is hard to read, it's just because of the way my video capture works. I'm capturing in 60i, and I don't know how to. If I see, like, when I go into NVIDIA here, there's not like an obvious way to change what my interlacing settings are. Now I could probably go into the Xorg config, but that I don't know. So, but you can see I have HDMI out, and it's sending a 60 hertz rate, which is fine and all. But if I could do like a 30p signal, I wouldn't have the interlacing problem where the fonts are hard to read. But Felix was answering my question about getting my fingerprint reader working on my Bonobo Extreme. Well, Felix said just check out fprint GUI, which I did, and there's of course an Arch wiki on it. And also to make things even easier, there's just a System 76 Arch page. It's not super detailed, but it points you in the right direction for a lot of this stuff. The Bonobo is pretty much just out of the gate. It works. Like my wife and I are doing the faux show tonight on webcams, so I wanted to see if I could get my webcam to work, and just worked right out of the box. Whoa! Look at that! Look at the. Oh, I got the blur effect there. I want to see if I can just get that. There we go. That's how the hair should always look. Right there. So the webcam worked out of the box. That was good. See, there's that's awesome. Oh god, it's not exactly flattering, is it? I mean, my hair's still wet too, so it looks like it really completes the effect. Ooh. I got tech snapping a little bit. Give me a break. So webcam worked out of the box, no problem. I loaded cheese. A fingerprint reader, I believe, is detected, but I'm not positive. I just started working with that. I got fprint installed, but I thought there were some tools where you could do demo scans, and it would just show you the image that the fingerprint reader picked up. If you guys know about something like that, I don't necessarily want to re-architect my login system. I just want to see if it works, just to check it. Linux for You and Me responded to my question about what do you guys think about using ArchBang as a starting point for Arch. And Linux for You and Me kind of summarized what a lot of the responses I've gotten on this. ArchBang is for those that are too scared or too lazy to install complete Arch with OpenBox themselves, in my opinion. Notice he's missing the H in that IMO. It is much more rewarding installing Arch, OpenBox, and learning how to customize OpenBox yourself from scratch. Now, I think the key word he used right in that sentence is it is much more, and here's the word, rewarding. That is a value call, I believe. And see, this is where I differentiate from I think a lot of hardcore Arch users is if for me it is more rewarding to spend an extra 15 minutes with my kids or have an extra 20 minutes to read my email than it is to have a totally configured box. Now, obviously, I'm living the Arch lifestyle this week, and I love how customized it is. But when I use the word rewarding, that's the kind of things I associate rewarding with. And I don't mean to diminish those who don't associate rewarding with that thing. What I mean is that we're probably at just different points in our lives. And for me, rewarding used to be, I mean, I was a Gen 2 user for like 3 years, right? I ran Gen 2 on my servers, which was ridiculous. I ran Gen 2 on my desktops, on laptops, everywhere I ran Gen 2. And for me, I totally agree. It was very, very rewarding. That was a different time in my life. And now my priorities changed a little bit. I think that's sometimes what some people lose a little bit of sight of in the Arch community is they consider it to be scared or lazy, and they think somebody's missing out on a rewarding experience. I don't know if I completely agree with that. Angelo de Vero Ferlunde, oh boy, I hope you know that's butchered with love. He says, IMO, once again missing the H. In my opinion, spins are not a good choice. When Systemd entered to become the only way to boot up your Arch box, Archbang hadn't made the change yet, and thus the transition between the clean installation state and the newer package was a pain in the arse for most people. It's just not worth it. When you install Arch a couple of times, you'll be able to do it in about 15 minutes or so. Okay, I agree with a lot of that. And I also agree that every time you install Arch, it gets faster. Same with Gen 2, right? But much more so Arch. Um, I would wonder, because his main point, this is one that crossed my mind, is the semi-recent transition to Systemd, I think, is one of the bigger changes that's happened in Arch recently that users had to cope with, quote unquote. Now, my question would be is, what's different than an Arch box installation having to migrate from Systemd than an existing Arch installation that had been around for a year before Systemd came around that also needed to be migrated? That just seems like either way, if I was a user of Arch for 2 months prior to that release of Archbang, I would have had the same problem. Now, yes, maybe at that time, Archbang was more inconvenient because of that, but that seemed like a temporary thing they've fixed. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, viewer, and if maybe I'm off the mark, or if you kind of see my point on that. Now, let's see, was there any other... Oh, here's one more, and then we'll get to a couple more. Here's one from TummySticks80. He says, I used Archbang for a while, and it was really nice for getting me introduced to generally how Arch works and what you can do with it. It was nice and easy to install, but having installed Barebones Arch a few times and remembering how rewarding it was, I'm thinking about taking a crack at it once I get my new rig up and running. Thanks for the inspiration. This is, I do agree, it's interesting, right? Rewarding is being used again. I do agree that getting this sucker working just right, getting the extensions I like, and by the way, I've turned off the Taskers extension, and GNOME seems to have stopped crashing as much. Dialing all that in, I would agree it is a rewarding experience in that sense. But I don't know if long term it would stay rewarding for me. I think I would get worn out eventually. I think it's rewarding now because it's new and it's an adventure. But once the adventure goes away, I don't know if I agree. I'm gonna stick it out for a little while and see. I'm hopefully gonna have my final thoughts on this particular topic in Sunday's Linux Action Show. I'm still kind of putting it all together right now. Just flipping through the latest Linux Action Show subreddit comments. Admiral Spark said, I think this is why people get a negative opinion of Arch users. We're comfortable with the installation process with terminal and no tools. We like looking stuff up on the wiki, troubleshooting our problems, and when our system is working just exactly like we want it, we're damn proud of it. This is the other thing is, this kind of like this engineers fix-it mentality where you got to go look up and research the problem. It's almost the gamification of a Linux distro in some sense for the tinkerer. So I thought that was a pretty good point he made. I was going to see, you can see we had a massive conversation thread going on in this week's. He said, hey, Chris, oh yeah, this was XCrusty that gave me the link to the System76 subreddit, so I wanted to give him a special thank you, XCrusty, for doing that. I didn't even know they had that. So there you go, just a quick update. Today got the fingerprint software installed. That's cool. Got Plex streaming set up, and I'm happy with how easy that was to get going. It's nice to be able to just get a new toy and not have to worry about, oh man, is it going to work with my setup? I didn't even know when I bought it, but I was fairly confident that I'd be able to just get it up and running. Looks like I have. That's been awesome. I tried i3, the tiling window manager, today. because everybody's like, you gotta try OpenBox or you gotta try Awesome or Xmomad, no, whatever. Everybody wants me to try a tiling window manager. I did it. I tried i3. It is cool. I just really am enjoying GNOME 3.8 right now. And now that it's not crashing so much, I'm kind of going to stick with it. But it is funny how many people have told me to try a tiling window manager. You guys and your crazy Arch users. So I tried i3 too, but I'm back on GNOME already. Pretty happy all in all. One of the next things I want to try to tackle is a backup solution. Remember, I have my root partition and my home partition are both Btrfs. Home partition is using compression. I haven't really noticed any side effects from that, which has been interesting. But now I want to look at maybe Btrfs snapshotting or other methods to back up my drive. Let's just say maybe I'm a little paranoid that SSDs don't last forever. And if you guys have any suggestions on a really great method to do that, bonus if it can have a GUI, because then I could actually demonstrate it for the Linux Action Show audience too. Because, I mean, it doesn't have to, but I'm a little more likely to if it does, I guess. Anyways, thanks for all the great comments. Keep giving me your ideas and thoughts and things you'd like me to experiment with. And now let's start talking about Sunday's Linux Action Show and sort of the points you think you'd like to hear some thoughts on from both Matt and I, because Matt's down doing this experiment as well. So help us start to inform that discussion. Leave your comments and thoughts on what elements you'd like to see discussed in the Linux Action Show, not just between Matt and I, but maybe even with the community at Broad, and any other suggestions you have for cool apps to check out or things to try under Arch, with a special request to backups and how to get my HDMI video to do 30p instead of 60i. I know that one's a little more esoteric, but that would solve a little production problem I have in the studio using Arch. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.